Live with Dara on this Saturday, February 19. So happy to have you on. I really appreciate you coming on. You could be anywhere else doing anything else right now, but you're here with me and I really appreciate it. Coming no road open back and it's 11 o'clock and everybody I try packing road right now. I mean, I wish I was out there, but I want to be consistent in terms of the live and so I'm on tonight to be with you and to share this topic. Very important topic. So thank you all for those persons who continue to message and send in topics, because sometimes they're not like the bank run out in terms of what can I talk about, what would interest you or what would make you watch the live for however long. And I know this month we've been talking about all kind of lovey things leading up to Valentine's. And then somebody who watches this live on a regular, Kayla, to big up yourself, he messaged to say, you should do a live about how soon is too soon or how soon is soon enough to have a conversation with your children about sex. And it was in the back of my mind. And then last week was Safer Sex Week. And I was like, okay, because I wasn't going to do in a live tonight, And then on top of that now, me don't know who see it. I'm going to put on my glasses because I want to see the reaction. There was this video circulating on social media last week into this week. I think it's still out. Where this cool girl, she was in her uniform. She was at this popular fast food establishment. I don't know if the person was her boo. I don't know who he was. But, she had on her mask. And then you saw him, doing whatever he was to take off the mask. And then, after him successfully get the mask off, this is right at the front of the fast food establishment. That's the schoolgirl and the man making out. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, but hold on, the people realize which one there? Because in my days, so it's a long time that, I would never even think fear one the boy and I have to do none of them something there, much less to be making out with one big man in a uniform at this popular fast food establishment where everybody go. And I was so shocked. Did anybody see it on here? When we see my mouth drop, when I tell you no lie. And that out of that now, I was like, what, let me do a live to talk about that. Because I truly believe that growing up, I wasn't really educated sexually, about safe sex and all of that. You were shocked when you see it? May I tell you, I wasn't educated. It was a guess and spell for me. It was a bat up and catch. Thank God, my bat up and my catch. But not everybody bat up and catch. Some people will bat up and get pregnant. Some people will bat up and, catch, get an STD. So many things can happen. And I believe we should really start having that conversation. And I was about to say young adults, but say, you have liquor pitney engaging in sex right now. And when I say liquor pitney, because I was having a conversation. Children, you have children engaging in sexual activity right now. And I was having a conversation. Somebody said them shocked. May I tell you, man, and she have on her uniform. She big, she was a big schoolgirl, but you could have see is a schoolers, and she have on her uniform. I was more shocked for the man. Come here, see the man, you're not easy. The man see the little girl in her uniform, and the man over there and make out with the girl right there. So at the fast food, right at the front. No, man. Something alright. So I'm saying, yeah, man, I always believe that I wasn't educated in terms of, sex and all of that when I grew up. Because, sex is a taboo topic among Jamaican parents. And I really want to talk about it because they might believe, say, when you talk about them something that, you want the child, your children or your child to turn adult before time. But I believe if you start the conversation with them, at least they're better, they're more knowledgeable and they will know what to do and what not to do, so they can protect themselves and everybody around them. So tonight we're going to talk about that. We have 3 interesting guests coming on and they're going to tell their story, right? And let me see if my first guest is on right now. Let me introduce them before them come on, because me have a way when we just bring them on and then I don't mention who they are. So I have Kayla Wright, and she's a youth advocate at the Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network. She's gonna talk about how we can introduce sex education, safe sex education to our children so they can better understand. I have Kavors Brown, and let me give you Kavors title. I made sure to write it down. He's a member of the LGBT community, and he's a social justice and HIV advocate, and he has been diagnosed with HIV. And we have Tracy Ann Reed. She is a doctoral nursing student. But Tracy Ann started out as one of those teen moms. She got pregnant when she was 13. And that of course have to do with the whole thing of safe sex and everything like that. So we're going to talk about her journey, what happened and everything like that. And we're just going to have an open conversation with everybody and just, let's just share our views. I hope at the end of the night it can touch somebody, and out of this, we can start the conversation with our children, with our young men, as a matter of fact, start the conversation with everybody. Because as owl as me and you be, we really need to know about safe sex or safer sex, because some of we just are ride on a dilly and a dally and I hope say at the end of the day we don't crash, but we have to be careful. All right, so let me bring on my first guest. So Kavors, I'm gonna have Tracy and come on first, then I will invite you on, and then Kayla, you will just be the icing on the cake and we can all just have a discussion. But I just want them to tell their story first and then we go into it. So let me go to Tracy Ann, who I believe is on. All right.
Hi,
Hey Tracy, how are you?
I am doing well. Good night, everyone.
So nice to have you on. Guys, this topic was a last minute topic. Everybody who's on tonight, I mean, I got them over the last 24 hours. Tracy, I'm so happy that you're on, and your story can help maybe somebody who is watching right now, and it can help parents who are to start this conversation about safe sex with their children. So let me start with you and you telling your story. Tracy and the girl from St. Thomas. Which part of St. Thomas?
Right, so I was born in Rowlandsfield, St. Thomas, right? I grew up halfway in Bath as well, St. Thomas as well, before I moved to Kingston at about 15. That was after getting pregnant.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go to let's go straight to what we're talking about, and it's a safer sex among. Before we even reach the adults, let's talk about children. And you have a story to tell because you were out and back very early. So let's hear your story.
Well, yeah, who's Tracy? So Tracy was this, vibrant little girl. I would say I was, an academic student. I was in first form at Moran Bay High School when I got pregnant.
How old were you? I know I told them, but let's just
I was 13 years old, first form student, just aced the GSAT, excited about high school. I was this budding track star as well, excited about running, and even one day making the Olympics, right? So I was this budding student who just wanted it all, right? And yeah, the unthinkable happened. I got pregnant at age 13. That wasn't very easy, right? Because of the consequences in terms of economical and educational cost, right? I taught at grade 7, and my mom, she tried hard.
No, before you go to the try hard part,
yeah,
we just want to get the meat of the matter out of the way.
You want the meat?
Yes, right? So 13-year-old, where you had what thing
happened?
13-year-old, where you had what thing about? By the way, how old was this person who got you pregnant?
Oh, so he was 19 actually, and he already had a kid too. Yeah, so
you were 13 and he was 19.
Yeah, he was 19.
Okay. All right. So when did you become sexually active?
Well, I was 13 at the time, and hide and seek and doing your thing. Your little hide and seek. You can't let your parents know what's happening. It was a hide and seek thing, from in talking. Maybe you go into the river with your friends, and this boy as well, or man. And you guys start to talk and stuff until one day things happened. Yeah. And I remember actually when I actually got pregnant, it was a family, not really a family, but it was a dance all party going on. And, everyone was there enjoying the adults. And I slipped away as I think a little rude little child, you know. And I went, to a little area, hide and do. It wasn't no bed, nice bed with anything. It was a little area you hide, and, you had sexual intercourse with your little
Was
boy.
that your first time? Was that when you got pregnant? Was that your first time having sex?
No, it was actually my second time with him. So it was my second time with him. And
oh, so the river was the first time.
yeah, so we went to the river and, do a little thing, hide. We hid from my parents and everybody. And then the second time was, when that party happened. And yeah, I got pregnant. And I also remember it was in March of 2001. So,
Wow.
and then my son was born December, end of December 2001. Yeah, so that was how it happened. My mom didn't know, of course, but there was this trusted lady in the community, because I knew my mom was preparing to send me back to school for September, right? Summer, I hid the pregnancy well. I went to school. I finished my first form, and it was time to go on to second form. And I knew my mom was preparing to buy stuff for me to go to school. And I used my conscience to tell this lady in the community that she was a trusted lady. I went to her and I told her what happened, because I couldn't go to my mom, right? So I told her what happened, and she called my mom and my child's father, the Hans, and they came together. To be honest, they dealt with the situation really well, but no, my mom was, you imagine, telling,
Devastated.
a mother that her 13-year-old, who she had high aspirations for, right, is now pregnant. So that was a blow to her. I literally had to run away for a little bit until she was calm. Yeah. So go ahead.
So growing up, did your mother or any family member, like older family member, have this conversation with you about sex and the do's and the don'ts and the birds and the bees?
Oh no, that was a conversation. It was so taboo. You can't talk about those things, right? And it's also important, because my mom also had me as a teenage mom, so it was important for her to tell me. But sometimes our parents, they're not so upfront with communicating with the youth, right? With us, when as we are young adults or young children growing up. So we didn't have a conversation. Plus, my mom was very busy trying to provide, and that's where we're talking about the economical consequences, right? She was busy. She was a teenage mom herself. She was busy trying to provide for me and my siblings at the time. Having that conversation was, not something to be had around the dinner table. Jamaican parents, they're not having that conversation. Most, I won't say all. Yeah. So no, I didn't have that conversation. And you would expect me to know, because I was a little, I would say, inquisitive child. Read. The Jamaican Sunday Gleaner was my friend. I love reading. So you would expect me to know, but yet still, maybe I just, go and do what everybody else was doing. I wanted to, I guess,
Explore. Oh, boy.
But
Do you think though that if you had a conversation, if somebody had a conversation with you, things might have, I mean, you have your daughter now and everything like that, and thank God you passed the worst. But do you think if somebody had that conversation with you at the time, things could have been different?
yes, I
Would
think so.
have?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it starts from even the menstrual cycle, the female menstrual cycle. Like, I didn't have anyone tell me what to expect. I remember I was in primary school when I had my first period, right? I was 11 years old. So I think starting from there, talking to maybe at about age 9 or 10, because some students have their kids have their period young, telling them, okay, your period's gonna come, what it entails, what will happen right now that you have your period, what to expect next, right? What's the next stage in, sexual health and reproductive health, right? And I think having that conversation as even before the child starts menstrual cycle, now that you have, you start menstruating, you can get pregnant. No one talked to me about that, right? And I just, I ended up getting pregnant. But now I have the conversation with my children, I prepare them, right?
But you've changed the cycle, you say. So you now have open conversation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, so it was my first child is a boy. I have 3 daughters after that as well. But
Mm-hmm.
my son, he broke the
Oh,
cycle.
he was a boy. Sorry. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's 20 years old now, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to say he didn't give me a grandchild, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
So he broke the cycle. He did, you know, he didn't get anyone pregnant, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to include the boys as well. He didn't get anyone pregnant. And for my daughter, my oldest daughter was almost turning 12. I had that conversation early with her about period, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
was, you know, what is a period? You know, when it start, what to do, what's going to happen with your sexual health and reproductive health. And I did it indirectly and directly, right? Being
Mm-hmm.
straightforward. I talk to her. I talk about other people's, you know, sexual behaviors and stuff. And I also talk to show her YouTube videos, right?
Oh, okay.
YouTube videos help. So when she had, you know, like if she, you know, get to that stage, she knows stuff, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I try to have the conversation with her just to prepare her for what will happen. Don't you can't be too safe, but at least, you know, as you said, knowledge is power, and if you provide them with enough knowledge to make an informed decision, then they're able to make better choices and better decisions.
Do you think there is an age that you should have this conversation? Because you know, so Tracy, right now, I mean, you the things are like 8, 9, 10 year old know I think about them something there.
Oh
Do
no.
you think there's an age that you should start this conversation about sex with your children?
I think by age 9, a 9 year old, they know what's going on. And I think once the child shows that they have the cognitive capability as well, right? To handle such conversation, because some kids, they are not so mature as a some 9 year olds are more mature. But
Mm-hmm.
once the child shows you that they have the cognitive capability to handle such conversation, I think it's time you decide to have a conversation with them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. So hold on. Kavor, let me see if you're on. I know Kayla should be on by now. Yeah, Kayla, you're on. Kayla, soon come to you. Kavor, are you on? If you're on, I'm not seeing your request to go live, and I want to add you to the conversation now. Because Kavor is a young man. Tracy, I mean, while you got pregnant in your teens, Kavor is a young man. He's in his 20s. And Kavor, he's a social justice and HIV advocate. Because 3 years ago, Kavor was diagnosed with HIV, right? And we're talking about young people here. I was having the conversation with him earlier, and I just want him to share his story with everybody because I remember I volunteer with Jamaica Aid Support for Life, right? And I remember when I just got there, I was having a conversation with a young man, and he said that he hear about HIV and all of them something there. But his thing was, oh, at the MAGA girl them have it, at the one that may look sick have it, right? And what happened is he went and he had sex with a fat girl, and he was diagnosed with HIV. So this whole thing of looking at somebody and believing, oh, this or that, it all comes back down to, hey, Kavor, how are you?
Hi.
You hear me clearly? Tracy, you hearing Kavor?
Oh yes, I'm hearing him clearly.
Kavor, thank you. As I was telling Tracy, thank you so much for coming on. You know, me appreciate. Kayla, I'm coming to you next. Kavor, have you been watching? So Tracy told her story, you know, in terms, are we talking about, you know, responsible, safe sex? As we termed it earlier? Yeah?
Yeah, responsible sex, right?
Yeah, responsible sex.
Mm-hmm.
Kabor, tell me about yourself.
My name is Kavors Brown. I am
You're a
30
little
years.
low though, Kabor.
Can you hear me now?
Guys,
Can
are
you
you
hear me?
here? I can hear you, but very low, but I want to know if everybody else can hear you. Are you hearing Kabor? Let's do a little poll in the chat.
Can you hear me now? 1, 2.
Can you hear me now? Let me see. Hold on. No, you're low. You're still low though, Kabor. I don't know if you have your phone down on something. Guys, tell me if you're hearing Kabor there. Oh yeah, you're hearing him? Okay. Oh, he's low. They're saying you're low, Kabor. Oh, some people saying I can hear. All right, let me work with it. So Kabor, yeah, tell me about Kabor.
Yeah, I'm Kavors Brown. I'm a research assistant at Sir Arthur Lewis Institute of
Oh,
Social and Economic
I'm
Studies
hearing.
at
He
Lewis.
sounds a little low and muffled.
Yeah.
And let me just add Kayla while you're on, so we can all just be on.
Can you hear me?
All right, Kavors? Yeah, man. Way better. All right. All right. You're good
That's
to go
better.
now.
This is better.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
Yeah, man.
thanks.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was saying that I'm being HIV diagnosed. I do research work in HIV, and also
Hi, Kayla.
Hi, everyone.
I'm
Sorry,
just.
Kavors. Sorry to disturb your story. Go
That's
ahead.
okay. I'm just overall an HIV advocate and an academic that does research work also, using my story to basically influence research that results in social change. The whole
All right. Hold on a minute. Kayla, put your mic on mute, Kayla. Yes, I was hearing her background. Oh, not yet? Hold on.
Wait, hold on for that.
Me know what going with it, Kayla. What going? All right.
How do I?
I think we're hearing the feedback. You hearing
How
it,
do I
Kavors?
mute it then?
So if you touch on it, you will see where you have the mic. You just press on the mic and it will mute it. You have the mic, you have the camera, you have the thing to turn around your camera.
I don't see those options.
All right, let me try again. All right, Kavors. Now, man, may I hear it? Kayla.
So I can come back after cover is finished.
All right, cool. Okay. But don't go too far enough. All right, let me take yours. Kayla. Okay. All right, Kavors, your time. Sorry to disturb your
That's okay.
Yeah.
So do you want me to go first by giving a definition of HIV?
Please do.
So HIV, according to the World Health Organization, is defined by human immunodeficiency virus. It's a virus that attacks the immune system, the function of the immune system. It depreciates its function. And we know that the immune system is there to protect the body against infectious and opportunistic diseases and viruses. It's mainly spread through having unprotected sex. However, though, there are different modes of transmission. It is exchanged via a variety of body fluids. You can get it by semen, a mother who is HIV positive. It can be transmitted through breastfeeding, vaginal secretions, and the usage of unsterile needles. So even though it is defined mainly by a sexually transmitted disease, you can catch it by these things. A mother who is HIV and not on medication, not virally suppressed or undetectable. I'm going to get into those two things. And also vaginal secretion and blood-to-blood transmission. So that's an overall definition according to the World Health Organization.
So the mother to child one, that all because if that's the case, that's from baby stage.
Right. And that would be called pediatric HIV.
Right.
Children, HIV positive children. Yeah.
All right. You were diagnosed 3 years ago with HIV. Before you were diagnosed, tell me about Kavors. What was Kavors like?
So I was this shy and reserved student. I was studying social anthropology at UA. I was exploring my sexuality, my spirituality. I was just any ordinary Jamaican who is climbing up the social ladder, coming from a humble background. I wasn't so outspoken about sex. Sex wasn't something that I really talked about, really. It was just, I had a nonchalant attitude to sex. You know, it was just another thing. Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then I came out as a bisexual. I learned more about my human sexuality, my attraction, my psychosexual experiences that I would have with myself, being intellectually and sexually aroused by both sexes. So I began to self-educate based on what was out there in the world. I would go on a website, I would watch YouTube channel to learn about sex, to learn about human sexuality, heterosexuality, queerness, and all of that knowledge that I learned in the media, it helped to shape my self-definition and really helped me to come into understanding myself, coming out as a bisexual person.
So as a bisexual young man, before 3 years ago, you were just exploring. You were basically trying to learn about sex and learn about the, you know, the plus and the, in terms of the things that you like and didn't like.
Right, precisely.
But in doing that, you, as them say, just out and bad.
I wasn't out and bad. So there's a stereotype that persons who are HIV positive were out and bad. You can have sex for the first time tonight and contract HIV. Not persons who are promiscuous or persons who subscribe to sex positivity who are I wouldn't say freelance. That's very problematic. Persons who have multiple sex partners are not necessarily HIV positive today.
True.
I wasn't out and about and having sex here and there. I was in a committed relationship and it happened. In fact, the person who I contracted from didn't even know that they were HIV positive. So there's that importance of knowing your status.
You broke up a while ago. Wait, no, hold on.
I did a test.
You broke up a while ago, and you said a very important point that I want you to go back to. Because Kavors
was a shock.
Hold on, Kavors, you hear me?
To him, and we both.
You hear me, Kavors?
We're diagnosed.
Hold on. Tracy, you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you clearly.
Kavors, are you hearing me? Hello? Kavors?
Yeah.
You know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you clearly.
Yeah, so I want you to go back to a very important point that you raised.
Yes, I'm hearing you clearly.
So I think you're having some internet connectivity because you know what you're saying is breaking up, and I really want not hearing him. I really want you to hear this one.
I hear you clearly.
You hear me clearly? We not hear him, so they're not hearing you so clearly. Me know where you go to your phone a while ago. Where you touch?
I'm hearing you. Yes, I'm hearing you.
Good. Okay. Kavors, you said something, and me not hear you no lie. You said the first time I went to do an HIV test, me say me fret.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
His audio is delayed. There is a delay. In my audio or his? His connection is delayed. They're saying your connection is delayed, Kavors. Well, let me just tell a little story until Kavors comes back. I remember, Tracy, the first time I went to do to get an HIV test done. Me say, first of all, I fret the night before when we know so me go do it. And then when I went and did it, then time there, and it took about 7 days, 1 week for you to get the result. And for the 7 days, it's one piece of frustration because you wonder, oh, God, what will come up now? Kavors, you're back with me because I can see you now. You made a very important point, and I really want you to go back to this point. You said that at the time, the person who you contracted HIV from didn't know that they have it, and you were saying that it's very important that you know your status. I want you to go back to that point and just restate what you just said. I'm not hearing me. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Something. You hearing me, Kavors?
I'm hearing you clearly. I think its connection is delayed. That's what's happening.
Yeah, because I'm not hearing you. I'm really not hearing you, and I want you to go back to that point. Yeah. All right, Kavors. So we're not hearing you. We're not hearing you. So I'm gonna take you off, and then you just send the request to come back, and then we'll see if it has improved. You hear? All right. So just give him more. Guys, you know this thing already. You know the life thing already. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. I mean, listen, we're waiting there. We're just going through with it. Tracy, it's back to me and you.
I'm here.
Yeah, if you're just joining, guys, we are talking about, let's talk about sex, baby. Safe sex, safer sex. And, you know, having that conversation with our children, having that conversation with young adults, having that conversation with big people like me and you, because some of we don't know if we do it, some of we just a cut and go through a boom and a bang, and hoping that we can boom bang and everything. All right. But we really need to have a conversation about it. So let me see if Kavors is back right now. No, Kayla. Kayla, soon come to you. Yeah? Kavors send me the request again to come on, because I want him to finish telling me his story. So if you're just joining me, Tracy, she was a teen mom. She got pregnant at 13. And Kavor is a young man who 3 years ago was diagnosed with HIV. And we just want to talk about the issue of, you know, safer sex, and if we have this conversation about how to make sex safe, or what we need to do to have safer sex, if, you know, we can reduce the number of teenage pregnancies that we're having right now, reduce the number of, there are other things that lead to it, let me just say that, but just help in the process. Because I must tell you, I was having a conversation with a doctor last weekend, and he was telling me, guys, that most of the patients that he's seeing right now are teenagers, teenage girls who school start back and then come with, they're pregnant because they're at home because of the whole pandemic thing, and you know, everything, you know, things happen and they're not pregnant. So you find a lot of this happen. And you know when it happen again? Summertime when they're home. So when they're home, them things that happen. Kavor, where you say? You back?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, man, and you're sounding way better now. So Kavor.
Yeah, I'm in the bushes of Mandeville, so you have to see with my journey.
Oh, listen, I appreciate you being on. So wherever you're there, I will wait. I am very patient. So Kavor, you were telling us the thing that your partner at the time did not know their status. And
Right.
as a result, that it was when it happened to you. So you were saying it's very important for you to know your status. You can start right there.
Yeah, so how I learned that I was HIV diagnosed, I went to a workshop by Jastel and I did a test, and obviously I was shocked. I didn't know am I being heard?
Yeah, man.
I didn't know how intricate it was. I didn't know anything about HIV. I didn't know how technical it was. I didn't know that it was a virus that affected the immune system dominantly. So I got educated about it, and then I told him that I am HIV diagnosed, and you are the only person I'm having sex with. So more than likely, what's going on? And it wasn't really a aggressive or microaggressive conversation. It wasn't really an attack. We just had a simple conversation because we were intimate, and so we both got tested, and we both decided, obviously, to go on treatment.
What was that like for you, Kavor? What was life like for you after being diagnosed?
So I
Or
was
what has life been like?
I was really affected by the stigma that society had. I internalized it, a lot of the notions, which is a hysteria that is fueled by misconceptions, lack of understanding, ignorant of what really the virus is and how it can be controlled, how it can be managed. Listen, cancer is worse than HIV. If you're HIV diagnosed today, you can be treated and you can reach a point where it becomes undetectable and suppressed. The viral suppression is when the HIV is less than 20 copies in your blood. to the point where it becomes untransmittable. Research, this is coming from World Health Organization, researched that medication, antiretroviral medication, helps to reduce HIV in the blood, make it allowing it to be at a point at being untransferable because of medication. So I am very much okay. I'm just like any ordinary person conducting my life.
Because you're on treatment.
Because I'm on treatment. Both of us, both my partner and I, have been on treatment.
So I was asking the question earlier when we were doing the pre-talk, and I said to you, just like I asked Tracy earlier, do you believe if you were better educated in terms of safe sex, safer sex, that maybe this could have been avoided?
Of course, if I were better educated about sexually transmitted infections, to be honest, I had a surface experiences. I didn't have in-depth experiences of what were STIs, what were sexually transmitted infections, and I didn't imagine that my lover would have had HIV because of that trust and that commitment to the relationship. So coupled with this trust that I had in my partner, and coupled with a surface knowledge, rather, experience of what STIs are, I believe that led to me practicing unsafe sex without a condom, and thus contracting the virus. And to answer your question more clearly, if I had more knowledge of what STIs were, obviously I wouldn't be diagnosed today.
Well, do you believe, I'm going to bring my, where's that?
That I want to respond to. Don't they teach this in school? Yes. It starts at UA.
Wait, Kavors, the man with a breeze start blow again.
There is on the
Kavors, the man with a breeze start blow again, and I blow the Wi-Fi, so.
Yeah.
No, man, don't be sad. Listen, we are learning from you tonight. Hold that question, because now I'm going to bring in, yeah, I'm hearing you clearly now. I'm going to bring in Kayla right now, because we want to talk about, if this is how we can educate and, how we can change the conversation so we can save somebody or your pitney, adolescent, young adults, and big people, because all of we need to be educated. So let me bring in Kayla right now. And they say a child shall lead, and I think Kayla is the youngest among us, and Kayla is going to educate us or guide us along the path we need to go, or put in her point of view. Kayla, you're back. What's up?
I still don't know how to mute my mic.
It's okay.
I don't see.
You don't need to mute it now, girl. The bigger light is on you. You hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing you fine.
All right. So you've been brought in at a very important point. The question was asked if we have sex education being taught in school. As a youth advocate, right? And you are associated with the Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network. What are you seeing? What are you seeing as it relates to sex education in school?
Well, I think what we're used to is maybe guidance or personal development, where we're introduced to sex ed in a way, but it's more on the basis of just plain abstinence. We're not actually learning on aspects of sexuality, like cognitive side, the emotional side, the physical side, the social side. So we go out into the world not really knowing about our sexual reproductive health rights, and as we're talking about today, the notion of safe sex. So that's kind of detrimental, because it will lead to things like STDs or, unfortunately, teenage pregnancies, because we're not readily informed from we're in school about these things. So we have to go out and find out on our own, and there's some dire consequences for that.
Kayla, can I tell you how we learn about sex? In my days, I'm actually aging myself right now. You used to read it in a book. I used to see it in a magazine, right? And then came the internet. And because you're not getting that from your parents or anything like that. So no, it's actually the internet that's really educating young persons, people in general, about sex and safe or whatever. Because you can get all different kind of sex, whatever you want on the internet. Is that what you're finding as a young person?
I say yes, because we're not being exposed to it in schools, or sometimes it's kind of awkward to talk about in our homes, that since the internet is readily available to us, that's how we find stuff out. Yeah.
And something that I also, in doing the research for this, it was said that Kavors, a lot more young people are now being diagnosed with HIV. And it's not young homosexuals, it's young heterosexuals. Because I guess you reach a stage where those things say, oh, let's all cut and go through. It's a trial and error. If me get catch, me get catch. You find that, Kayla, as somebody who's been out there talking to young persons, do you find that that's the attitude they have?
I'd say it's mixed. There are different attitudes because, as I said, not everyone is exposed to the same level of information regarding these things. Many young people have like skewed views towards sex and safe sex in general.
All right, so how do we change this conversation now? How do we open up the conversation about safe sex and, having it even introduced in schools? How do you suggest? Let me start with you, Kayla, and then I'll go around to Kavors and then Tracy.
Okay, I'd suggest maybe like a whole revamping of the school curriculums to include comprehensive sex education. So as I said before, it's really the process of teaching and learning all aspects of sex. So the cognitive side, the emotional side, the physical side, the social side, so that young people have more of an idea of what they're getting into before they get into it. Because just preaching abstinence, which has been done for years now, obviously that's not working. We need a more modern approach, a more practical approach to sex in general. So I'd say just revamping the curriculum.
Kavors? All right, the Mandeville breeze are blow your Wi-Fi again. You're gone, so Kavors. So let me go to Tracy until you get back. Tracy?
Okay, I'm here. Yeah, so I'm in agreement with Kayla, sex education. Also, we talk about, direct communication from parents. Also, I would say power, I'll let power.
All right, hold on. So I'm getting a feedback from Kayla's thing. I don't know how to instruct her to mute the mic. Kayla, what are you seeing on your screen?
I'm just seeing the reverse camera and the effects.
Oh, you're not seeing the camera or the mic? Lord of mercy. Oh. All right, let me try. Go ahead, Tracy.
Yeah, so again, talking about being in agreement with the point, comprehensive sex education, and also, direct and indirect communication by parents, right? Either being or less straightforward. And I have some ideas I can share. First of all, let them know that being sexual is a natural in human, right? As Kayla said, the abstinence thing's not going to work, right? It's a natural part of human being to be sexual. So in terms of, talk to them about protecting themselves, right, from STDs, protect themselves from HIV, and of course, spoke about protecting themselves from becoming pregnant and also from getting someone pregnant. We have to talk about the boys as well. The symptoms of STIs too. What are the symptoms? So they know, okay? The dangers of getting a sexual transmitted disease and the negative things that could happen if they become pregnant, right? Or if they get somebody else pregnant. So those are the straightforward that lots of their parents don't really want to have with us, those conversations. So if you're one of those parents who don't want to be straightforward, you can come indirectly, right? Talk about, movie characters, like their sexual behaviors, right? On the TV, their risky sexual behaviors. Maybe make subtle comments about sex while you and them are in the room, right? Sitting down, having a casual talk. Just make some small little hints at sex. You don't want to outright come out and say, this is what sex STIs are. you know, if you get HIV, this is, you know, what's going to happen to you. You know, you don't want to, if you're not that parent, there are other ways that you can engage your children into sexual conversations.
And you're saying this conversation should start as early as 8.
8, 9. And I said, again, once the child show that they have the cognitive capability, because not everyone matures the same way, right? My 12-year-old at 9 years old, she could tell me that she doesn't want to have a baby. And you know what she said to me? Because there are going to be 2 ways how to get that baby out. Either it's going to come through the vagina, or the surgeon is going to cut the stomach and take the baby out. And she's not going through that. At 9, she was able to have, so that tells me that she has the cognitive capability to have conversations. And she was 9 years old then. So once you hear the child start having certain conversation, and you know, sometimes our parents, when we ask some things and we say some things, they think we're being inquisitive or we're being enough, right? No, we just eager to learn. We want to know. All right. Don't think that the child is being inquisitive. Don't think they're being enough. I said, go away from here. Why are you coming here talking about that? No, talk to them. Sit down. Have a conversation. Because when my daughter came to me with about the not wanting to have a baby, I was shocked for a little bit. I was like, really? And then I'm like, no, you need to talk to her, have the conversation. And I sat her down in the couch and we talked, right? So I think once they show that they can engage in that conversation with you, you can have the talk.
Kavor, you back? Kavor thing. Kavor, your breeze still a blow down there. Kav? All right. So, Kayla, you heard what she said. Do you agree with this thing about the suggestion she's making that you start the conversation as early as 9-year-old, as when the child is 9 years old?
Yeah, I agree in essence. I think it's very nuanced because as a parent, you know your child and you know what they can understand. So I definitely agree that it should start from home, definitely, and parents should be able to have those conversations with their children.
Kavor, you back? All right. Kavor breeze still a blow down there.
And Dara,
yeah.
Right? Today's kids are not yesterday's kids. They have been so much like exposed to the media. They know what's going on, right? Things that a 6-year-old, you know, maybe in the 80s or 90s would talk about, you know, a 6-year-old today, they are way advanced. And that's because of technology. So if technology has advanced these kids so much, you as a parent has to advance your thinking too towards how you're going to engage them. Because there are some things they're saying and doing, you're wondering how these 6-year-old and 7-year-old, 8-year-old then things you have to, but it's technology, right?
Kav, are you back? You hear me? Oh gosh. Yeah? All right. We're having a disconnect because we're not hearing you.
So
I see
if
you
the
moving.
breeze isn't all
Oh, okay. What do you say?
Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you now.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, so before we get to curriculum and all of what you guys spoke about, I think we need to just examine how learning takes place. Because we're introducing new knowledge, research knowledge, we're introducing results as to what is STIs, what is preventative methods, what is methods of managing and controlling STI diagnosis. But I think the society needs to understand how learning takes place. So basically, unlearn, help people to unlearn and relearn. You know,
Again, when you're making that very important point, the Wi-Fi start going, I don't know. You're having a challenge, Kavor. Oh. All All right, Kavor, I'm gonna kick you out, and you send back the request. Let me see if it gets any better because we're not hearing you. All right. Yeah. So I'm really happy I had this. I'm having this live tonight because, as I said, it's something worth talking about. Kayla, I know you talk about like adolescents, but we're talking about like young adults in their 20s, blah blah blah. Your organization, right? Let me just get the name correctly. Jamaica Youth Advocacy. Would you be targeting those individuals as well?
Of course, all youth, we want all youth to be more knowledgeable about sex in general, sexual reproductive health rights, the notion of safe sex. It's targeted to all youth.
Mm. How do
And
you
we
reach
can,
out to them? How do you get the message across to them?
well, we have various workshops from time to time. They can follow us on social media to be informed of when we're going to have these workshops, or just any memos that we might put out regarding things like this at Youth Advocate JA. So it's and we're on Twitter as well. So it's, and we have a website. So it's very they can find us everywhere, and it's not too heavy. The information isn't too heavy to digest because we want it to be that everyone can understand what we're saying and what we're putting out.
Mm-hmm. So you said it's workshop. So it's actually like them coming to you. Do you go to them? Do you go in the communities? Do you go in schools? How do you reach out to the young persons?
Right now, I guess because of COVID, the pandemic and restrictions, we're unable to do that right now. So the best forums are online. So as I said, workshops. We can organize workshops and people can join through different mediums, Zoom, Google Meet, stuff like that, just to get the information across.
Okay. Kavor, I know you're also an advocate, right? You're making a point, and I'm hoping that you can make that point before the strong Mandigo breeze blow the Wi-Fi again. What were you saying?
I was just speaking to my anecdotal experiences advocacy. People are traditional. They stick to what they know. And to come with new knowledge, scientific knowledge, as well as lived realities like my own, we have to first get them to at a place of emptiness. Just forget what you know. I facilitate workshops. My recent workshop was last year, World AIDS Day, December 1st, with guidance counselors and ministers of education, CSOs, school resource officers, school liaison officers about HIV and bullying in school. And I kind of set a tone of emptiness, forget your experience, forget your degree, and just be open to new knowledge. Because people will challenge educators, workshop facilitators, people with new knowledge. People will challenge you with what they know. And I'm saying this because all of this are hysterias that feeds into stigma and discrimination, that feeds into no room having this conversation. People talking about abstinence. That's okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
So everybody must first bring themselves to basically be prepared to learn new things, and not necessarily challenge science and what is real and what people experience. I know we're very taboo on sex. We're very taboo on human sexuality. Human sexuality is a part of the curriculum of comprehensive sexuality. We're talking about gender identity, sexual orientation, sexual behavior. All these things are fall into the curriculum of comprehensive sex education. So if you're going to talk about sex and adherent to responsible sexual practices, first you have to be very aware that, okay, sexuality is not defined one way. There are different definitions. Sexuality is like water, it's fluid. It's not defined as something heterosexist or heteronormative, male to female or female to male. All these things comes with having the attitude of being open to new knowledge, so as to prevent all of these things that we mentioned, teenage pregnancy,
True,
HIV,
so true,
and all of these things.
so true, Kavor.
Right.
Because I mean, really and truly, people are still everything of heterosexual, not knowing there are many other sexual, you know, if I'm talking about. So you are right. We have to get to the stage where even if you don't agree, you have to accept that there are different, what you call it? Sexual? How you put it?
Human sexuality is fluid. It's not easily defined.
Fluid. Yes,
Right.
the fluidity of human sexuality.
It's not monolithic, so to speak.
Right. So people have to understand that. What are you finding though, Kavor, in like the young persons? Because I mean, how old are you?
I'm 30 years old. 30.
You're
30.
30. So we have to reach the young people them to Kavor. You know the situation. What are you finding? Are they open to just understanding what's happening? That it's no longer about the whole heterosexual thing. You know, there is, as you say, fluidity. Are they open to that? Are you getting a sense that they are trying to understand what's going on? They're trying to understand safer sex, etc.
It's the conversation and spaces of learning, how these conversations are conducted to basically educate young people. The feedback from different spaces is not, it varies. It's not static. Sometimes I go to Half Tree Teen Hub, Half Tree Transport Center, and I find that it's a space that schoolers go to relax after school, and you find that queer men, queer guys who not necessarily subscribe to constructs of masculinity are having conversations about bisexuality, about sexual behavior, about threesomes, believe it or not, three other boys having sex with their girlfriends. And as at other, these conversations are not. So the conversation are happening, but at different levels in different spaces, at different levels. You know, civil society conducts this work with organization. They do a lot of human rights and capacity building in terms in human sexuality and sex education, and they can't reach school system, the education system, without the education approving. And sometimes the workshop material are not in alignment with the traditional curriculum, and that's a barrier. So what civil society does, it's against that. They partner with spaces that the ministry have, like the Teen Hub. The Teen Hub is a space in different parts of Jamaica, a space where teens can go to learn about sex education. So the conversations are happening in different spaces, and the response is not to gauge the response. It's going to be inconsistent and not static. Different levels, different conversations, and social constructs, social definitions has a lot to do with how the conversations are happening in different spaces. We can't go into religious churches, religious schools, and religious institutions and talk about human sexuality.
So that's for teens, Kavor. But let's push it a little bit beyond the teens now.
NCU, I'm going to call him, but you can't go to an NCU and talk about
no
homosexuality and
same gender. Just say
attraction.
university.
Talk
Kavor.
about HIV.
The first thing just say you can't go to university.
Abstinence, because it's a Christian-based institution. And so that conversation, because of the audience, the material of the conversation has to be tailored to their level, not necessarily diluting science and diluting truth, but reach them at their level. Right, and have those conversations.
Right. So okay, so if not at the university, you have the teen hub, right? What do you have for young adults? Is there anything, because what have Kavor, in truth and fact, them past them it's been a boom bang kind of thing where you try and you're safe because you go through and nothing happen to you, and you go on
Okay,
do what you
so
do because and you go on do what you do because you say, all right, I'm good. But really, young adults, old adults, everybody
I'm
needs
not.
to really
I'm sorry.
learn about safe sex.
So because of education, because of non-government organization with knowledge and information, best practices of sex education, there is more conversation happening. There's a lot of feedback. In fact, I can call this organization Jamaica. Right.
What? Miss say, is that the internet I work with me? He says he call it, as he about to call it the organization name, you already just drop some bloops. It's like I press a mute button. But what will you say? Your audio gone now. It gone now, Kavor. No audio. Not hear you. Not hear you. Sis.
There is this particular Jamaican network of seropositives. It is the
Yeah.
only member organization that has HIV positive people. Ordinary Jamaicans, regardless of gender, once you are HIV positive and you want to join a network of people who are HIV positive, Jamaica Network, Jamaica Seropositive is an NGO that does that.
It's in and out. It's in and out.
Jamaica Network of Seropositives is a non-government
organization.
Wow.
Yes, I'm hearing you. Jamaica Network of
Wow.
Seropositive.
You want me to rejoin and come back? So I was saying Jane Plus, Jamaica Network of Seropositive. It's a membership-based NGO that does
Okay, rejoin. I'm
capacity
gonna kick you
building
off. I'm
on
gonna kick
HIV,
you off, and you come
STIs,
back.
and comprehensive sex education, regardless of target minors.
All right, guys, just hold on. Oh, Kayla is back. Just hold on. We just want to get this out. I'm gonna wrap shortly, but I just wanted to get, because you know what happened. Mind of the Janela, so the cool breeze on mind will blow the thing. Kayla, as I wrap up, if I have young persons on right now, right, who would want to have a conversation or know more about safe sex or safer sex, how can they reach out to your organization?
Well, we're right here on Instagram, Youth Advocate JA. You can follow us, and we will continue the conversation from here.
It's all right. I know you're part of the Yang boss. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they can follow us on Instagram at Youth Advocate JA. They can also follow Girls Who Know Jamaica because they're primarily focused on sexual and reproductive health rights.
Okay. And they can come on and ask you anything, right? And it's a non-judgmental space.
Non-judgmental.
All right, Kayla. Thank you so much. You hear? Thank you so much for coming on the live. Guys, you can follow Kayla. You can follow Jamaica. I want to get the name correct. Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network. And you can learn more for young persons who may be on and need some more information. Listen, I better you go there and you get the information more than go there and say, if me did know. So let's try and not do the if me did know and know. All right, and get it. Kayla, thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. Bye.
Right. So Tracy, it's me and you now, Tracy. As we wrap up, Miss Teen Mom, Miss PhD student, nursing candidate, right? you are here, you've been here. Teen mom, you say everything you are going. You say, start the conversation early, get the information out early so people have a better understanding.
Yeah. And you know, if we also look at sexual socialization theory, of course, you know, I'm a researcher, so I'm going to talk about the theories. They posit that, you know, having discussion about sex and relationships, you know, with your young teenage daughter or son opens up that arena for you to share your values with them, right? Share values and talk about sex openly, right? You can talk, even if you're a religious person, you can still talk about sex with your children. You know, maybe it won't be so out there, but talk to them about your values. What are your values? But you know, the abstinence part, maybe you want to, you know, religious, they're gonna say wait until marriage and everything. But if you choose to go that route before you're married, this is what you need to do, right? This is what can happen if you know, not use protection, right? Aside from just having those open conversations and not be scared and just realizing the world that we're living in, right? People are want to go and explore, especially the young, right? Our minds are, as this Kavors said, fluid, right? We want to know things that are happening, and we want to know what is that out there that everybody is trying and say it's nice. We want to feel and know what it feels like too, right? So it's having a conversation and open up that, you know, arena for.
So true, Tracy, because you know, it's like somebody say, if you touch this, it's gonna burn you. Even when they tell you, say, if you touch it, it's gonna burn you, you're gonna touch it. Because you want it, it really gonna burn, it really gonna burn you, right? So provide them with the knowledge, so at least if it burn them, you know, maybe there's something that can save them, you know? Yeah. Tracy, one more thing, because you basically focus on like children and adolescents, but I want to talk about like young persons because you know we find the study showed that a number of them are now being diagnosed with HIV because they're just out, young, free, and single, and just living. And how can we reach that group? How can we target that group? What do you think we can do to save them? Not what we them doing, you know, but some you have big people out there who don't know one crap. They just have sex. They don't know about safer sex, etc.
Here what happened. I'm gonna just quote something from Miss Kitty that I see going around, and I think it's connecting. Where she says, sometimes you must rest your front, rest your body, rest, you know. I see it going around, and I think it's connecting well because people are redoing the reels. I say having, you know, young people, influencers out there, put the government also can, you know, get these influencers to go out there and act as advocate for these youths, these 20-year-olds. They're on the internet, Instagram, they're there. So have influencers, you know, talk to them about safe sex. You know, the parents are out of this, you know, by age 20, even though I talk to my 20-year-old son, the parents don't have much, but the influencers on the internet utilize their skills and their ability to reach an audience.
Yeah, but you know, when you're in your 20s, them say, oh, you're a big man, you're a big man. I mean, I don't think they're trying to target those persons, you know, in terms of, because I might say, yeah, you're supposed to know better. But a lot of us who are over 20, you know, a lot of us who are over 20, we still don't know. We still don't know. We're just, you know, it's a trial and error thing for us.
It's true. It's true. But again, you know, still we can still have the same conversation about safe sex. We can still have it, you know, about if it's a boy, about condom use, right? If it's a girl, about condom use as well as contraceptives too, right? While you might not prevent the STDs or an HIV, you can prevent the pregnancy, right? So still having that conversation with them. For a 20-year-old, I know at this age, they're a little bit, you know, defiant. They feel like they know things, right? And they don't really listen because I was a 20-year-old who I know. I felt like I knew it all about life. But I didn't actually, right? I learned as I go along the way. Thank goodness I didn't have to encounter the worst of the worst. But I still went through some hardships, right? Before I was able to even get to this stage of studying. I went through a lot of hardships, right? And we talk about the economic costs. You can still talk to them about the economic costs, the educational consequences, right? Not being able to finish school or go, even though it's not the end of the road, because as I am a testament to that getting pregnant early is not the end of the road. But you want to mitigate that. You want to try to have, you know, a better trajectory than I did, pretty much, right? Of not having to suffer the not having to suffer the consequences of, you know, early pregnancy, right? So I think it's just, you might not able to get through everybody, but at least if you get to one and change one person's life, that one person can go on and be a loudspeaker and change another person's life, and that's the conversation gets started.
Yep, exactly. And that's what I'm hoping to do tonight. I'm hoping that we can change one person's life. I mean, maybe get a parent to say, you know what, let me have a conversation with my child or my children about safer sex before you even reach safer sex. So I'm hoping that out of this life we will reach somebody. And Tracy, I know you're here. I know you're busy doing your studies, but I really thank you so much for coming on and talking to us, telling us your story. I mean, look at you. Look at where you are right now. You know, big up yourself. Continue to do good. Continue to fly Jamaica's flag in your new country.
In Canada.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm in Jamaica right now, in Canada. So I'm located in Canada. But right now, I'm in Jamaica because I'm actually here for the weekend to write my PhD thesis proposal. So, so yeah.
All right, so big up yourself. And guys, for coming on, I want to thank you. If you miss it, it will be up on my IG page for a little bit before I transfer it over to YouTube. But it's, I mean, you can just listen and, you know, pick sense out of nonsense, and hopefully you learn some, you have some takeaway from tonight's discussion. Thank you so much for coming live with Dara tonight, and I will see you next week when we will go live again to discuss something else. And remember, if you have a topic, or if you have something, you know, an idea of something that we can discuss, just send me a message and let's see how we can get persons to come on and talk about it. Because we have things that we really need to talk about. There are so many things that we need to talk about that people are just afraid to talk about. So let's talk about it. Let's get the conversation started. Guys, have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. If you're going to be out and bad, be careful out and bad, okay? Don't do what I wouldn't do. So take care, guys. Until next week. All right. Bye-bye.
Them